Hi guys, welcome back to the channel again. And today we are going to talk about June 2019 PYQs for British poetry. ये PYQs हम last काफी time से कर रहे हैं और British poetry के PYQs जो हैं वो काफी important है. इससे ये आपको ये benefit है कि आप selected poet prepare करके ही poetry section को बहुत ही अच्छे से prepare कर सकते हो and it can get you a lot of good results. सो अगर चैनल को नहीं किया है सब्सक्राइब तो जल्दी से कर लो बिकॉज यहाँ पे हम करते हैं बहुत ही वैल्यूएबल डिस्कशन जो आपको आपके नेट पेपर को क्लियर करने में क्रैक करने में करेगी बहुत ही ज्यादा हेल्प. सो इसी नोट पे लेट्स स्टार्ट विद आवर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. So our first question says that what is the name of the poetic style characterized by short staccato rhymed lines as shown below. ये पीछे नीचे 4 लाइंस दी गई हैं और हमको ये डिस्कस करना है कि किसके पोएटिक स्टाइल है, कौन से ऑथर और कौन से पोएट का पोएटिक स्टाइल है. इट इज क्रैनमेरिश और वोल्सियन और चौसेरियन और स्केल्टोनिक. द करेक्ट आंसर इज Skeltonic verses. We all know that John Skelton was a very famous poet and he introduced his own writing style that is called as Skeltonic verses. So Skeltonic verse or Skeltonics is a poetic style pioneered by John Skelton. He was a tutor to Henry VIII. Henry VIII जो हमारा किंग हुए हैं उनके जो ट्यूटर थे he was John Skelton. And this is the structure of a Skeltonic verse. It is short lines, 2-3 lines is 2-3 lines या 4 lines और हर line में stress है, irregular meter है, tumbling down the pages करके इसकी जो मीटर है एक तरह से टम्बल डाउन करके एकदम से फटाफट से रिदम इसकी निकलती है. इट इज मोनो राइम, सेम राइम रिपीटेड एक्सटेंसिवली, एक ही तरह की रिदम जो है वो रिपीट होती है. एंड हैवी यूज ऑफ एलिटरेशन एंड पैरेलल, मतलब एक ही तरह के ग्रामेटिकल टेक्निक्स और एलिटरेशन एज इन साउंड ग ग ग फ फ फ इस तरह के एक ही तरह के जो एलिटरेशन साउंड्स हैं उसको कॉपी करते हैं. दैट इज द स्केल्टोनिक वर्स and it is often satirical, humorous and deliberately rough. And जो अभी हमने लाइन स्टार देखी थी, what can it avail to drive forth a snail or make a sail of a harness tail. So इसमें लाइन जो है शॉर्ट है, rhymed है, tumbling rhythm है, एक तरह से avail, snail, sail, tail, इस तरह से it is keep on coming. And the classic illustration of Skeltonic verses. So हम इस तरह से इसको compare कर सकते हैं that Cranmerish is from Thomas Cranmer, who was Archbishop of Canterbury. ये उनका वर्स फॉर्म नहीं है. Wolsey means Cardinal Wolsey was not poetic style, उनका भी नहीं है. Chaucer का तो ये है ही नहीं because Chaucer used Middle English, rhyme well, heroic couplets, ये उनका style था. This is definitely Skeltonic verses. Moving on to the next question. So our next question says, the last temptation is the greatest treason to do the right deed for the wrong reason. T.S. Eliot, Murder in the Cathedral. Why is the temptation treason for the speaker of these lines? कि ये जो 2 lines हैं, the last temptation कौन सी है जिस वजह जिसको वो एक treason, एक धोखाधड़ी के बात कर रहा है कि वो एक धोखाधड़ी है. And do the right deed for the wrong reason, कि सही काम करना लेकिन for wrong reason वो भी एक cheating ही है. Why he is calling that? It is only self-serving. It is not intended. It violates a norm. It is conspiratorial, right? तो इसमें से कौन सा है? The answer is it is only self-serving. अब इसमें क्यों है ये आंसर हम देखते हैं. Murder of the Cathedral अगर आपने पढ़ा है, सुना है, it is a very famous work by Eliot. And the Murder in the Cathedral, Thomas Becket realizes that the last temptation is to embrace martyrdom, not for God's will, but for personal glory. So जो main character है इसमें Thomas Becket, he has to embrace martyrdom. Martyrdom, I hope you understand, जैसे शहादत प्राप्त करनी उसको हम बोलते हैं martyrdom. तो वो कहते हैं not for God's will, कि God की मर्जी के लिए, God के wish के लिए नहीं, rather अपनी personal glory के लिए कि हाँ मुझे बहुत बढ़ाई मिलेगी इसके लिए, मुझे बड़ी praise होगी. तो अगर मैं ऐसा करता हूँ, even then the martyrdom becomes a worthless act because it is tempting him, which makes the act treasonous because it corrupts intention. जो उसका intention है act का, जैसे हम कोई काम अच्छा कर रहे हैं लेकिन अगर उस काम अच्छे करने के पीछे हमारा intent सही नहीं है तो वो काम भी अच्छा नहीं है. So T.S. Eliot's Murder in Cathedral, written in 1935, dramatizes the martyrdom of Archbishop Thomas Becket in Canterbury Cathedral in 1170, focusing on his inner struggle against worldly temptation and his ultimate acceptance of death as God's will. The play highlights the tension between political authority and spiritual integrity. The last temptation is the greatest reason to do the right deed for the wrong reason occurs when Thomas Becket confronts the fourth tempter. Earlier, tempters offered worldly pleasures, political powers and rebellion. तो इसमें ये भी क्वेश्चन बन सकता है कि कितने टेम्पटर्स थे. तो पहले टेम्पटर ने क्या ऑफर किया, दूसरे ने क्या किया, तीसरे ने क्या ऑफर किया, और चौथे वाले टेम्पटर ने उसको ऑफर किया spiritual pride, means to seek martyrdom for fame, sainthood rather than pure devotion. So this can also become a separate question. So this is what it is special in this series, in this particular videos that I am making. इसमें सिर्फ पिछले PYQs नहीं, हम उसकी डिटेल्स भी फॉलो करते हैं ताकि आने वाले जो क्वेश्चंस हैं या जो उनकी डिटेल्स हैं हम उसको पहले से प्रिपेयर करके रखें ताकि हमारी जो तैयारी है वो 100% से भी ज्यादा हो. So Beckett recognizes even righteous act like martyrdom becomes sinful if it is motivated by wrong intentions. So this is a concise summary, part 1, interlude, and then part 2. The part 1 has chorus of Canterbury women fears Beckett's return from exile will bring conflict and death. Becket is confronted by four tempters: safety, wealth or power, rebellion, and finally the lure of martyrdom for personal glory. He rejects all, realizing that even martyrdom must be embraced selflessly and not for fame. Then comes the interlude. Becket delivers a Christian sermon explaining the true sainthood comes through suffering and sacrifice. कि जो actual sainthood है, actual जब आप saint या गुरु बनते हो तो it is from suffering, sacrifice और अपनी fate से ऊपर उठना. Then part 2, 4 knights of King Henry II accuse Becket of treason. तो कितने knights थे? 2. किसके knights? Sorry, 4. और किसके knights थे? King Henry II के लिए. और किस चीज के लिए वो Becket को accuse करते हैं? It is for treason. Becket refuses compromise, accepts martyrdom and killed in the cathedral. That is why murder in the cathedral. The chorus reflects on the meaning of his death, linking it to divine order rather than redemption. So ये सब चीजें जो हैं, they are quite important. So this is what the comparison look like. It is only self-serving because कि जो martyrdom है वो personal glory की बजाय अगर हम personal glory के लिए करें that it is sinful. So this is the in nutshell. So इसके सारे details है. Author कौन है? T.S. Eliot. Year कौन सा publication? 1935. Setting क्या है? Canterbury Cathedral, December 1170. Central character Thomas Becket. Conflict क्या है? Spiritual integrity versus political loyalty to King Henry II. Structure क्या है? 2 parts है plus interlude. Interlude क्या है? एक Christmas sermon. Key device क्या है? Chorus, like Greek tragedies are famous like जो भी हमने पढ़ी है. Moving on. So this is our next question. So which artistic technique best describes the interplay of light and shade in the following lines? ठीक है, light और shade इनका जो interplay है आपस में, कौन सी artistic technique को में हम ये सब use करते हैं? I have looked at it so long, I think it is part of my heart, but it flickers. क्या flicker करती है? Light. Faces and darkness, यहाँ पे light आ गई और फिर darkness separate us over and over. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. So light, shade, इस तरह से there is a contrast being set. तो इस तरह के interplay of darkness and shadow को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Is it a collage or it is a flashback or it is montage or it is chiaroscuro? Right. The correct answer is option D, chiaroscuro. Right, that is the correct pronunciation. Chiaroscuro is originally a Renaissance painting style. Means it is an Italian word. Chiaro means light and scuro means dark. So again, it is intended. In literature and poetry, it refers to interplay of brightness and shadow, of highlight, contrast to the perception, mood and meaning. ठीक है, ये दोनों चीजों को opposite रखा जाता है. There is an interplay used metaphorically to explore psychological depth, ambiguity and duality. दो चीजों को represent करने में, ambiguity means confusion create करने में या direct meaning ना देने में, और psychological depth means mentally उस चीज को बहुत ज्यादा गहराई से दिखाने में ये चीजें, ये जो technique है use होती है. And the poem excerpt juxtaposes, puts faces in darkness, candles and moonlight, flickering image in the speaker's heart. और ये सब जो opposite चीजें हैं वो एक साथ juxtaposed, they have been kept together. The shifting light sources like candle and moon are separation caused by darkness. The technique dramatizes the tension between truth एंड इल्यूजन, प्रेजेंस वर्सेस एब्सेंस, ये सब चीजों को ये चीजें सिग्निफाई करती हैं। So this is what collage क्या होता है, juxtaposition of fragments or images in art of literature. collage जैसे हमने देखा ही है, जैसे छोटी छोटी पिक्चर्स को ऐसे ऐसे एक साथ बन के हम उसको collage बनाते हैं और लिटरेचर में ऐसे ऐसे फ्रेगमेंट्स बनाते हैं, तो ये collage का ही है। फ्लैशबैक होता है नैरेटिव डिवाइस जो पास्ट इवेंट्स के बारे में हम डिस्कस करते हैं, ठीक है, वो भी नहीं था। मोन्टाज सिनेमेटिकली और लिटरेरी सीक्वेंसेस ऑफ इमेजेस और इवेंट्स, मतलब सीक्वेंस होता है बट देयर इज नो विजुअल कंट्रास्ट, कुछ ऐसा तो है ही। So correct answer is this one. Chiaroscuro means artistic technique of light-dark interplay adapted in literature. So this is our next question. Who among the following is celebrated in John Keats's Lines on the Mermaid Tavern? John Keats की ये not so famous poem है और इसमें किसके बारे में या कौन सी ऐसा फिगर है जिसके बारे में बहुत ज्यादा तारीफ की गई है या who is celebrated? Options are Jack the Ripper, Bryson of the Park, Jack the Giant Killer, or Robin Hood. Let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is option D, Robin Hood. Poem is Lines on the Mermaid Tavern, 1818 में लिखी गई, published in 1820. Theme: Keats nostalgically imagines Elizabethan poets, legendary folk heroes feasting together in heaven under the sign of mermaid constellation. तो एक वो क्या इमेजिन कर रहा है कि एलिजाबेथन टाइम के सारे इंपॉर्टेंट पोएट्स, फोक टेल्स वाले लेजेंड्स, वो सब एक साथ इकट्ठा हुए हैं कहाँ, हेवन में, और वहां पे वो सारे एक साथ खाना खा रहे हैं, दे आर फीस्टिंग एंजॉयिंग देमसेल्व्स, एंड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, ये सब कहाँ हो रहा है, अंडर मर्मेड कॉन्स्टलेशन। तो मर्मेड टैवर्न बेसिकली क्या है, रियल लंदन टैवर्न, एक सच में एक्चुअल जगह है जहां पे इंपॉर्टेंट राइटर्स लाइक शेक्सपियर, बेन जॉनसन, बेमॉन, फ्लेचर, ये सब एक साथ इकट्ठे होते थे। So that is why he has named the poem Lines on the Mermaid Tavern. In the poem, the Keats explicitly invokes Robin Hood and Maid Merman. These are the lines. This makes Robin Hood the celebrated figure in the poem, representing folklore. ठीक है, और भी जगह पे कीट्स ने रॉबिन हुड की रेफरेंसेस दी हैं, एंड दिस इज द ऑप्शन। जैक द रिपर नहीं है, ब्रांसन ऑफ द पार्क नहीं, जैक द जायंट किलर नहीं है, एंड करेक्ट आंसर इज रॉबिन हुड। So next is this question that we have. It is rather very interesting question. Which two writers have written essays on defense of poetry? कौन से दो writers ने defense of poetry से related या उसकी defense में जो essays हैं वो लिखे हैं? Option A is Sir Philip Sidney, B. P.B. Shelley, C. Matthew Arnold, and D. T.S. Eliot. And then the correct option में आप देख सकते हैं clubbing है. So the answer to this question is it is Sir Philip Sidney and P.B. Shelley. Both have written separate times पे separate essays, both defending the poetry. So इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस भी काफी कॉमन है. आई हैव सीन इट मेनी टाइम्स कि एक ही नाम के दो तीन वर्क्स हैं तो उसको पूछ लेते हैं कि इस नाम के वर्क्स कौन कौन ऑथर्स ने लिखे हैं. तो इस तरह का भी आपको एक तरह से ट्रिविया आप प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो अपने प्रेप के टाइम. Sir Philip Sidney has written an apology for poetry, also known as the Defense of Poesy, in 1580s during Shakespearean times. And his context that during the Renaissance, Sydney defends poetry against Puritan attacks. The Puritans ne, especially Stephen Gosson, this is very important. He wrote School of Abuse, right? Critiquing poetry. And in defense of poetry came our own Sir Philip Sidney. And he said that writers like Gosson, they don't know anything about poetry, and rather poetry teaches virtue by delighting the mind. It is superior to philosophy and history because it combines universality with vividness, with clarity. And he said that poets are the makers who imitate nature to reveal higher truths. So poetry is much superior than philosophy and history, says Sir Philip Sidney in An Apology for Poetry. And P.B. Shelley has also written an essay, A Defense of Poetry, in 1821, romantic time, romantic period. It was posthumously published in 1840, and the context that he writes in that romantic era response to Thomas Love Peacock's satirical essay, The Four Ages of Poetry. तो आपको इनसे रिलेटेड डिटेल्ड आपको क्वेश्चन थोड़े आइडियाज होने चाहिए कि उसने कौन सी 4 एजेस ऑफ पोएट्री लिखा था, और स्टीफन गॉसन ने स्कूल ऑफ अब्यूज में किसको क्रिटिक किया था या किस बारे में क्रिटिक किया था या कौन सी इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन थी। तो इस तरह से आपको थोड़े थोड़े से अपने नोट्स जो है प्रिपेयर करने। तो की आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या है इसमें पीबी शैलेंद्र दी? Poetry is the record of the best and the happiest moments of humanity. And poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. This is a very important line. Poetry refines human emotions, imagination, and moral sensibility. So both the writers of Philip Sidney and P.B. Shelley have talked highly of poetry. So this is a comparative analysis. You can take a look. Meanwhile, moving on with the next question. Our next question says, to see him act is like reading Shakespeare by flashes of lightning. About which Shakespearean actor Coleridge wrote the above line? कि कौन से Shakespearean actor को लेकर Coleridge ने ये line कही है that to see him act is like reading Shakespeare by flashes of lightning. Is it for David Garrick or it is Richard Burbage, John Philip Campbell or Edmund Kean? The answer is Edmund Kean. Edmund Kean is one of the most prominent Shakespearean actors and one of the most famous of all. तो कोलरिच ने ये जो लाइन है बेसिकली एडमंड कीन की इलेक्ट्रीफाइंग परफॉर्मेंसेस को देखने के बाद लिखी है. And it also means that Coleridge has compared Kean's acting to reading Shakespeare by flashes of lightning. जैसे हम शेक्सपियर को पढ़ते हैं उसी तरह से उसको देखना भी उतना ही ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है. It is bursts of brilliance illuminated the text with passion and originality. And Kean's style, Kean's के बारे में, he is known for his fiery energy, emotional intensity, and natural style. He revolutionized Shakespearean acting in the early 19th century, moving away from declamatory style of Sir John Philip Campbell. Pehle he was famous, then came Kean. His performances in roles like Shylock, Othello, Richard III, and Hamlet were celebrated for their raw power. तो आपको ये भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं कि कीन जो कि एक बहुत ही फेमस शेक्सपियरियन एक्टर है उसने कौन कौन सी परफॉर्मेंसेस दी हैं. And this is about the others: David Garrick, Richard Burbage, and John Philip Campbell. Campbell was the rival of Edmund Kean. And Garrick was an 18th century actor famous for Shakespearean revivals, but it was not for him. Richard Burbage was original actor in Shakespearean company. Richard Burbage was also there in Shakespeare's company long before Coleridge's time, so that was not possible. The correct answer is Edmund Kean. And these are the details of all the actors. You can take a screenshot, pause the video and read about them. कि कौन से रोल्स उन्होंने पहले प्ले किए, क्या उनका स्टाइल था, उसके बारे में क्या क्या किया, क्या क्या उन्होंने प्रेप करते थे, वो क्या उनके कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस हैं. So these are all about, right? See, Kean's most famous work is Shylock, Othello, Richard III, and Hamlet. So this is our next question. Which of the following arrangements of poets is in correct chronological order? तो poets को हमने उनकी chronology में लगाना है. हमारे पास options हैं विलियम लैंगलैंड, विलियम डनबर एंड लेअमॉन. तो आपको बताना है कि पहले लैंगलैंड था, डनबर था कि लेअमॉन था. And the correct order is Layamon came first because he has written some early writings, or Langland or Dunbar, they were during the times of Chaucer. Layamon, he was early Middle English. His work is Brut, a chronicle poem in Middle English based on Vases Roman de Brut. तो इस तरह के questions detail में वो आपसे पूछ सकते हैं definitely. Then William Langland, his major work is Piers Plowman, allegorical poem in alliterative verse, and he mostly wrote criticism on society, moral reform, and all. And then came William Dunbar. He was our Scottish Chaucerian. तो Chaucerian के types, एक तो थे English Chaucerians और एक थे Scottish Chaucerians. तो कौन से थे इंग्लिश, कौन से थे चौसेरियन, स्कॉटिश वाले? ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है. आपको क्लब करने को बोल सकते हैं या ऑप्शन दे के पूछ सकते हैं कि कौन सा स्कॉटिश जो ऑस्ट्रेलियंस में आता है और कौन सा इंग्लिश में आता है. So all these are very important. And this is our next question. What is being described by Wordsworth? Wordsworth किस चीज को describe कर रहा है? In the following lines from his poem The Thorn. Very beautiful poem, very heart-touching poem, and very emotional poem. I have measured it from side to side. It's 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. What he's talking about in these lines? A fallen bough, a cradle, a small cot, or an infant's grave. I hope you know the answer because Wordsworth is very important. Romantics, you cannot leave any of them or any of their work, whether it is major or it is minor. The correct answer is an infant's grave. In William Wordsworth's poem The Thorn, the lines, I have measured it from side to side, 3 feet long and 2 feet wide, described by a small mossy mound beside a thorn tree. ठीक है, एक ग्राउंड के ऊपर एक माउंड है, उसके पास एक थॉर्न ट्री लगा हुआ है. There is a tree and there's a mound which the narrator and villagers believe to be the grave of Martha Ray's infant. किसका infant है वो? Martha Ray. Okay, Wordsworth begins with vivid description. These are the opening lines. And then this sets the tone of age, of decay and mystery around the thorn tree. And these are the important lines. You can take a screenshot, pause the video and see and read. So this is the summary of the poem. Wordsworth describes an ancient thorn tree near a muddy pond and a mossy mound. The mound, 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, resembles an infant's grave. A woman is in scarlet cloak. The name of the woman is Martha Ray, seen visiting the spot, crying in anguish. And villagers speculate that she has lost her child there, linking the mound to her grief. Okay. So this was all for today's video. And please keep on prepping hard for your exam. I hope you make it this time and study hard and use these videos for your benefit. अगर आपका कोई friend है वो भी prepare कर रहा है English literature के, तो PYQs जो है वो बहुत ही essential है, आप अपने friends के साथ भी share कर सकते हैं. So thank you very much.